Big thing here is Will Fuller thought it was Halloween, and he was getting it from the PEDs dispenser. Turns out he's getting it from the PED dispenser, and he got suspended with PEDs.
PEDs.
Yeah.
I didn't get where you were going there for a second.
You planned that one all day, didn't you?
All day
he was driving home. He was like,
I'm not driving home.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to use that one.
I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. But anyway, that's a bummer, though. I mean, Will Fuller, he was actually having a halfway decent year.
Yeah, you want to know why? Because he's on the PEDs.
Gets the PEDs dispensers.
Tilted back the Ninja Turtles head, and out comes another PED. Like, oh, still healthy week. Look at me, wide receiver 1.
Wide receiver 1. Yeah. He was wide receiver 8 going through week 12. And
Will Fuller would be the Donatello of Ninja Turtles.
Donatello.
Yeah, those little stick.
Yeah.
Nobody likes you.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with Will Fuller. He's had a great year. He's helped a lot of teams, crushing them as we get ready for the rest of the year because he's been a wide receiver 1. Right. Usually a roller coaster. PEDs have got him going straight up on that ride.
Very level.
But so let's look at this besides Will Fuller as well here. Let's look at it as the outside bubble. 2 things. Well, 3 things, I guess. 1, Will Fuller's a free agent after this year.
Yep.
Highly unlikely to probably resign in Houston because they've got they got a lot to do there.
Yeah, they need to fix some stuff.
That's going to be a complete rebuild, right? I mean, they're obviously keeping Deshaun Watson, but beside that, I mean, they're starting at ground zero basically with that whole offense, right?
They have no choice.
Right.
They're going to be looking for scrap heap,
right.
help here.
I mean, it's they got Brandon Cooks there.
Brandon Cooks.
Right now, I mean, obviously Will Fuller is out of that offense. They also, the day after Thanksgiving, they sent
Kenny Stills
to waivers. So he's gone. It's Kiki Kute as the number 2 and Isaiah Coulter as the number 3 right now.
Yeah, and there's one other guy. I'm blanking on his name. It's something generic, Michael Carter or something. He has literally 2 receptions in his entire career. So
they have 5 tight ends.
Holly
Warren's coming back.
But that's the hard part too. They have so many tight ends that are involved.
You never know
which one to start. It's so hard.
Know. Right. It's a revolving door.
So
on
really,
which one gets
the only one you can start or you can trust for the rest of the season. It's Cooks. Yep. And that's it.
Yeah. That's literally it.
That's it.
I think Duke Johnson's still a viable flex play here. He's been that way almost all year.
Kiki Kute, are we trusting him at all at this point? I mean, he got
for playoffs.
You don't trust. You don't play. I like him.
Yeah,
I think he'd take a step forward. He's been hurt.
He was
up to this point.
He was good, and then I feel like he was in the doghouse. He was good his rookie year, and looked promising anyway. And then he was in the doghouse of Bill O'Brien, and now that he's out the door, he's kind of getting a second chance here. Is he an asset you guys are looking to go kind of poke around at the owner and say, hey, Kiki Kute is finally getting a second chance here. Do I want to make I mean, it wouldn't cost much,
get him
right?
for free. I mean, a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Offer. I mean,
if I can get him for that, sure,
I'd offer that. I'd offer that, and I'd offer that for Isaiah Coulter, like you said.
Absolutely.
Just on, you said he's the bigger receiver there. He's the one that's over 6 foot.
He's 6'2". Everybody else is 5'11" or shorter.
Right.
Yeah. So the move here to make is again, we said Houston's blowing this up. They're going to want to see what they have with their young guys. They have no draft picks next year. They're going to be kind of starting from scratch. They're going to start taking their step forward, not in 21, but in 22.
Right.
So if you can make a move, Will Fuller not coming back, and maybe they go Brandon Cooks as their number 1, and they see what they have in Kiki Kute and Isaiah Coulter. Now, if either 2 of these guys step up forward, and you can get them for a 5th round pick, a 4th round pick, either of those guys, to me, that's a much better gamble than you could take on a rookie itself, because these are 2 guys that have a very good line to playing time. And production. And not only that, they're tied to Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
And Deshaun Watson's one of the most premier top 5 dynasty quarterbacks out there today. And that was my other, when I was saying 3 things, okay, it's not just about Will Fuller. This hurts Deshaun Watson a little bit as well. Will Fuller's a wide receiver 1. You're taking a wide receiver 1 from a quarterback who's been playing really well, exceptionally the second half of the season.
Without his other wide receiver 1 that he had the years before.
Right.
So for me, this hurts Deshaun Watson a little bit. I think Deshaun Watson's one of those guys that he makes everybody else better around him. Yep. I thought he wasn't going to be a QB1 this year because he lost Hopkins, and I didn't love everybody around him, and he still managed to be a QB1.
He's 6 right now in the season.
And made everybody better around him. So Will Fuller, obviously, he didn't just make Will Fuller wide receiver 1. He's a big play receiver, right?
Sure. He's always had talent.
Just couldn't stay healthy. So what did he do?
PEDs.
Yep. Tilted Donatello hat back and took those PEDs.
That's where that came from. I was trying to figure out how we even got there.
Yeah. We got off that rail because of that.
I'll pull it right back in that rail. Look at this.
Look at that.
Rail grind in it. So, Will Fuller likely gone. Are we trading for Will Fuller? If you own Will Fuller, are you just holding on to Will Fuller? Are you trading for Will Fuller? Do you think this hurts his value?
I think this is a classic hold for me because there's so many moving parts. We talked about the PEDs. So is he healthy now because of those? Like, is that's what's helping keep him healthy? So there's that risk there. And then chances are he's not back in Houston next year. So where does he end up? There's been tons linking him to Green Bay for practically forever, but that still has not materialized.
I mean, they tried to trade for him.
They tried to trade for him. They just weren't willing to offer quite enough.
Right.
So, but Green Bay could easily take one in the draft, or they could just keep doing what they're doing and never invest in another wide receiver again, and Aaron Rodgers will still be just fine. So who knows where he's going to end up? It's too volatile of an option right now to really do much of anything with. So I think he's a classic hold.
I was going to say, the question really in my mind is, if he leaves Houston, is he going to get another job as just a deep threat, or is he going to be a number one wide receiver on another team? And I think that's what you have to try to figure out when you're looking at his value. And to me, if he goes somewhere else, somebody's going to see him, and they're going to see him as a number 2, a complimentary guy, in my opinion. So that's why I'm not going to go out there and try to trade for this guy.
But if he goes to the team we just mentioned, the team that tried to trade for him, the team that has interest in him, the team that clearly needs a number 2 receiver, that's going to be a Super Bowl contender, Green Bay Packers, to be in the number 2 in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense outside of Devontae Adams with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers,
sure,
we'd probably be still looking at a wide receiver 1 if he's healthy. I mean, Rodgers would crush with Will Fuller as a deep threat, opposite of Devontae Adams, and Will Fuller constantly seeing the number 2 cornerback on the outside.
Would he crush though, or would he be this kind of up and down type of guy that we've seen all along? Because I mean, if that's the right kind of routes you're going to be running, it's just naturally built into it, just a little bit of that kind of hit or miss type of scenario. I
think with Rodgers it'd be more hit. Like I think his 3 to 4 catches would be 3 to 4 catches, 80 yards, and he finishes the year with 8 touchdowns. Right. You know, like every other game you're getting a touchdown out of him, just because Devontae Adams is going to open so much more for you. It's going to help Devontae Adams as well. So I don't know. I'm with you guys. Like I'm holding Will Fuller unless I can get a first for him, because there's another point to sell him at this point. I mean, he's out for the year. Maybe you're a playoff contender. Maybe you weren't. So the season's pretty much over. Right. There's no point in trading him for a second. If I could get a player that somebody hopes that he signs. But I think the real hold is you don't trade now, you wait till he signs. Because most likely, most of these players, when they do sign, you see a spike in value, unless it's going somewhere awful.
Real terrible.
You know, Baltimore, he signs it. You know what I mean? Oof. But for the most point, you see a spike in value, and it's always then you want to sell, because 90% of these wide receivers that go to other teams never produced like they did on their old teams. I mean, Robert Woods did. Deshaun Jackson had some good years outside of Washington.
Well, we did have 2 cases of it this year with Nuke and Stephon Diggs.
Well, Nuke's completely different. Nuke's a different tier player.
A caliber of player.
It doesn't matter where he's at, he's going to be successful. Sure. He actually went to a better, you can't say better, an equal situation where he's the number 1 and got a contract extension. Who was the other guy you said?
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. Well, like we know, Gary, he's
amazing.
He's an upper echelon as well.
He might be the best.
Like a middle echelon player that went to a better situation. So yeah.
Middle echelon.
Haters
gonna hey. We all have those guys.
Haters gonna hate. Those guys.
So Will Fuller's a hold. Deshaun Watson's a hold. Hurts him in the playoffs. Helps Brandon Cooks.
But actually, Deshaun Watson might be a buy. If this has dipped his value at all,
if it dips his value, you don't even know what you're. Just stop playing Dynasty.
There's
a lot of people that don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's why we do this podcast.
I'm not saying his value will dip, but if it does at all, I'm absolutely buying. Especially if I'm not a contender. Like if I'm a rebuild team, and I'll be like, okay, I'll give you Rodgers right now for Deshaun Watson. Rodgers probably has a better outlook for the rest of the season.
In Superflex leagues, I've had a couple leagues where I have Deshaun Watson. The only league I've ever traded him in, was for Pat Mahomes. That was it.
That worked out.
And that was I had to give up Calvin Ridley and Watson, Ridley's rookie year before like week 2 for Mahomes. And that's it. I would never trade him I would never trade Watson. So, and so the move here for Dynasty is nothing to do with Brandon Cooks. Maybe you're making a playoff push, go for Cooks here. Maybe for like a second, give up a Cooks for like if you say you lost Will Fuller and the Cooks owner is out of the playoffs, throw a 21-second at the owner for Cooks.
See what happens.
I mean, I don't love Cooks either, but it's not a bad play because he's going to be the number 1 guy.
Yeah, and I would sell Cooks for a second and be okay with it in 21 class if I was out of it, right? So that's the move. And if you're a contender out of it, no matter what, I think the move is if you're a contender, I'd maybe try to offer a 4th for Coulter or
Kiki
Kuti. just for the gamble part of it.
Sure.
If you're top 3 pick, top 4, maybe offer a 5th. See if you can get those. Maybe hardball, you still go with the 4th. Not a big deal.
I have no problems giving up 4th for anybody. You know what I mean? Like for anything that has anybody that has any value.
Coulter or Kiki, which one you want?
I think I like Coulter personally with a long-term value. He's a taller version of a Will Fuller because he's just as fast. So, I mean, he ran like a 4.42 or a 4.43.
Kicked ass at Rhode Island, right?
So, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, I'd go Coulter too. I think he has more upside.
I always go, when it's a coin flip, I'm like, who's bigger and who's younger?
Whenever Rich is juggling, it's usually the guy that wins is the taller guy, right?